Subscribe and join us on this journey into the luminous nature of consciousness, beyond life and death. As we continue our exploration of the second day of the Bardo, we encounter the radiant spectrum of light that the Tibetan Book of the Dead describes with profound philosophical depth. These are not mere visual phenomena, but the very manifestations of the mind's ultimate truth. Each color, each beam carries a symbolic resonance, an invitation to confront the deepest aspects of our consciousness. First, the deep blue light, the light of Dharmakaya, the wisdom of emptiness shunyata. The first light that the deceased encounters is a profound, deep blue brilliance that stretches infinitely across the sky. This is the light of Vairocana, representing the essence of the universe itself, Dharmakaya. Unlike any earthly form, this blue transcends boundaries, symbolizing emptiness, infinite freedom, and detachment from clinging. It is a light without limits, the pure reflection of what lies beyond the illusory self. Yet the soul often recoils in fear. The infinite blue challenges the very notion of I, our habitual sense of self, the egoic boundary that defines our existence. To confront this limitless sky is to confront the dissolution of the self, as one knows it. Many, unprepared for such radical truth, turn away from this light, retreating into darkness, seeking the familiar comfort of illusion. This encounter is a philosophical revelation, the recognition that ultimate freedom can be both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Second, the golden light, the light of compassion and equality. The next illumination the soul perceives is golden, warm, and radiant. This is the light of Ratnasambhava, the Buddha of giving and generosity, who shines impartially upon all beings. Golden light symbolizes inner abundance, the practice of compassion, and the realization that all life shares the same source. It is the light of universal love, a profound wisdom that acknowledges the equality and dignity of every sentient being. Yet, for a soul still bound by dualistic thinking, distinguishing self from other, this light can be blinding. The golden brilliance is too pure, too unconditional for those who cling to separation and attachment. The soul may experience discomfort or fear, not from malice, but from the overwhelming realization that love and compassion are not rewards to earn, but the very nature of reality itself. Philosophically, this represents the challenge of ethical and moral awakening. The soul must learn to receive and reflect unconditional love, even when it feels foreign or uncomfortable. Third, the red. Light the light of passionate love, vitality, and discriminating wisdom. The red light is the luminous energy of Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light. This is the fire of love, the warmth of life, the vivid pulse of conscious energy. Red symbolizes passion, devotion, and the vital force that animates living beings. It is a flame that can either purify or consume. Uncontrolled, it becomes the fire of desire and attachment guided by wisdom. It transforms into compassionate action and boundless love. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us, the fire of fear leads to hell, the fire of love leads to bliss. This principle reveals the essential psychological insight that our emotional energy, if guided by awareness and insight, can become the vehicle for liberation. The red light is not merely a color to behold, it is an invitation to integrate passion with discernment, transforming raw desire into enlightened compassion, integrating the color's philosophical reflection. Together, the blue, golden, and red lights illustrate a profound metaphysical and psychological map. The blue light invites detachment and recognition of the infinite. The golden light teaches the equality of all beings and the practice of pure compassion. The red light transforms our emotional, and motivational energy into wisdom-infused love. These luminous experiences are not external phenomena, but projections of the mind itself, guiding the soul toward liberation by reflecting the truth that consciousness is continuous, flexible, and capable of profound self-awareness. For the living, these teachings offer equally valuable insight. The encounter with the Bardo lights mirrors the challenges of life itself. When faced with uncertainty, loss, or the dissolution of familiar patterns, we may feel fear, resistance, or clinging. Yet, the path of awareness asks us to recognize these projections, to see them as reflections of the mind, and to cultivate freedom, compassion, and integrated passion in our daily lives. By learning to face these inner lights consciously, we prepare not only for the inevitable transition of death, but for a deeper understanding of our own mind and its luminous potential. In conclusion, the first three colors encountered on the second day of the Bardo provide a vivid philosophical, psychological, and spiritual map. Blue for infinite wisdom and emptiness, gold for compassionate equality, and red for disciplined passion. Each challenges the soul to recognize its own projections and attachments, and each offers the potential for liberation if perceived with clarity and awareness. Subscribe now to continue this exploration into consciousness, beyond life, and walk with us as we uncover the luminous, transformative nature of mind, where every color, every light is a doorway to profound insight and awakening. Subscribe and join us as we explore the luminous nature of consciousness and the profound teachings of the Bardo Thödol. As we have already navigated the first three colors, the deep blue of Dharmakaya, the golden light of compassion, and the red flame of passionate love, we now move to the fourth and fifth lights, white and green. These colors, the Tibetan Book of the Dead explains, are not mere visual phenomena, but profound symbols of the mind's ultimate capacities, guiding the soul toward clarity, equilibrium, and liberation. Fourth, the white light, the light of pure consciousness and mirror-like wisdom. The white light is associated with Akshobhya, the Buddha of mirror-like wisdom, Mahaprabhasa Prajna. This light reflects all phenomena as they truly are, just as a mirror reflects its surroundings, yet remains untouched and unwavering. It is the illumination of pure consciousness, revealing the essence of one's original nature, the true face of the mind. Philosophically, it is the integration of all colors, the cessation of differentiation, and the emergence of true equanimity. Yet this light, though radiant and sublime, can be profoundly intimidating. The white light confronts the soul with the dissolution of ego, the vanishing of the self as it is conventionally understood. Many souls shrink from this brilliance, fearing the disappearance of the boundaries that define them. It is precisely at this threshold where the self risks dissolving into pure awareness that true enlightenment is tested. The encounter with the white light is a profound metaphysical challenge to recognize oneself beyond the constructs of identity, and to embrace the unconditioned nature of consciousness without fear. From a psychological perspective, this confrontation mirrors the journey of self-realization in life. Just as we must confront the illusions and projections of our ego to grow spiritually, the soul in the Bardo must recognize the white light not as something external to fear, but as the ultimate reflection of its own mind. The white light is the mind's unclouded clarity, a luminous space where judgment, attachment, and delusion dissolve, leaving only pure awareness. Fifth, the green light, the light of action, balance, and practical wisdom. Finally, the green light represents Amoga Siddhi, the Buddha of accomplishment, whose illumination embodies harmony, balanced action, and the realization of wisdom through practice. Green is the color of nature, life, and equilibrium. This light teaches that enlightenment is not solely a matter of understanding, but of living and manifesting wisdom in action. Knowledge alone is insufficient. It must be integrated into behavior, aligned with ethical responsibility, and expressed through compassionate deeds. The green light symbolizes the purifying power of karma and the harmony of the mind in action. When the soul receives and integrates this light, it transcends the cycles of rebirth and returns no longer to ignorance. Philosophically, the green light reminds us that consciousness is not passive. True liberation requires active engagement with reality, where insight and action merge to produce ethical, compassionate, and enlightened living. The five lights, the mirror of the mind. Taken together, these five lights, blue, gold, red, white, and green, are not divine emanations but reflections of the mind itself. Blue represents the infinite nature of emptiness, gold, the universal principle of compassion, red, the transformative power of passion, white, pure consciousness and equanimity, green, the wisdom of action and balance. The Tibetan Book of the Dead emphasizes, do not fear these lights. They are not external deities, but the true nature of your own mind. This understanding carries profound implications for life as well as death. By engaging with these lights during the Bardo, the soul is presented with the opportunity to recognize its own projections, attachments, and innate potential. Similarly, in our waking life, these symbolic lights remind us to face our own inner truths, embrace compassion, cultivate passion with wisdom, achieve equanimity, and translate insight into ethical action. In essence, the Bardo is a profound mirror, showing us that the luminous potential of consciousness is always present, waiting to be realized. The philosophical insight here is transformative. Understanding the lights of death is inseparable from understanding the lights within life. The five colors awaken not in some distant afterlife alone, but within our minds as we practice awareness, compassion, discernment, and ethical engagement. Each color is both a warning and an invitation, challenging the soul and ourselves to recognize that consciousness is continuous, luminous, and ultimately our own. Subscribe and click the notification bell to continue exploring these profound truths of mind, consciousness, and the luminous nature of existence. Join us as we uncover how the teachings of the Bardo Thödol illuminate the path to self-realization, both in life and beyond. By witnessing the lights, we are reminded that awakening begins not after death, but here and now within the vibrant, luminous canvas of our own consciousness. Before we begin, subscribe and click the bell to journey with us into the luminous depths of consciousness and the profound mysteries of the Bardo. As we have seen, the soul in the Bardo encounters five distinct lights: blue, gold, red, white, and green, each revealing a facet of the mind's nature and guiding the consciousness through stages of awakening. Yet, on the second day after death, a fascinating phenomenon occurs. The lights transcend religious, cultural, and personal boundaries. Regardless of faith or belief, the light is one. This light, experienced by the deceased, is not exclusive to any single tradition. For a Buddhist, it may appear as the radiant bodhisattvas of compassion. For a Christian, it may manifest as the gentle smile of the Virgin Mary. For a Muslim, as the divine illumination of Nur Allah, and even for an atheist, it may emerge as the profound judgment of one's own conscience. Though the forms differ, the essence is the same. The light reflects the inner truth of consciousness itself. Psychologists and parapsychologists describe this as the conscious projection. Field the principle that immediately after death, the mind projects, a reality shaped by beliefs, memories, and emotional energies. The beings or lights encountered are not external deities, but manifestations of one's self-divinity, externalized from the inner mind. In other words, while the faces of the divine appear diverse, their core is singular. This is the central teaching of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Though religions differ, the light is one. It is a profound reminder that the ultimate reality encountered at the edge of death is not shaped by external dogma, but by the consciousness itself. Interestingly, modern science has observed parallel phenomena. Researchers at the University of Virginia reported that 10–20% of people experiencing near-death experiences, NDEs, describe encounters with a brilliant light and a presence of profound significance. This occurs regardless of faith or worldview. The light is not merely a neurological artifact. It may signify consciousness operating beyond the physical brain, reflecting truth back upon itself in its final moments. In other words, the light is the mind's ultimate mirror, revealing the self with unflinching clarity. Yet, the second day in the Bardo is not only a meeting with luminous divinity, it also brings confrontation with darkness. Souls may perceive wrathful deities, fearsome beings, or terrifying visions. However, these are not external threats. They are projections of one's own mind, shaped by fear, attachment, and unresolved guilt. Carl Jung referred to this as the shadow self, the part of the psyche we deny and repress, now manifesting as formidable entities in the Bardos. These figures, skeletal hands, blazing eyes, or fiery forms, are not punishers from beyond, but the embodiment of the deceased's own unresolved anger, attachments, and self-deception. The soul may attempt to flee, but the gravitational pull of clinging attachments to family, possessions, reputation, or love holds it back. This is the very mechanism of samsara, the cycle of birth and death, which ensnares consciousness in recurring patterns of desire and fear. Only by recognizing these forces and facing them without aversion or denial can the soul progress toward liberation. On this second day, at the edge of fear and despair, a remarkable realization emerges. The light and darkness, the wrathful and compassionate figures, are all projections of the mind itself. This awakening, called wisdom through fear in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is the profound moment when the soul comprehends the illusory, yet deeply instructive nature of all phenomena. By facing fear without attachment, the deceased encounters the ultimate truth, the void, shunyata, where all forms arise and pass away, and yet the essence of consciousness persists, luminous and free. This insight carries deep implications for the living as well. It teaches that life itself is a continuous engagement with projections of the mind, that attachments and fears create personal shadows, and that recognizing their true nature is essential for wisdom and freedom. By observing these phenomena as symbolic, experiential, and psychologically real, we glimpse the universality of consciousness, transcending cultural, religious, and personal boundaries. In conclusion, the second day in the Bardo is not merely a mystical journey of a deceased soul. It is a mirror, reflecting the deepest truths of the mind, illustrating that liberation is possible when one faces both light and shadow without clinging or aversion. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us that every light, every dark figure, every emotion encountered is an intimate reflection of our own consciousness. Understanding this, we recognize that enlightenment begins not after death, but here and now in the living awareness of the mind's luminous nature. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to continue exploring the profound journey of consciousness, the mysteries of the mind, and the luminous path that the Bardo Thödol reveals. Witnessing the interplay of light and shadow, we are invited to awaken, to live fully, and to understand that the ultimate truth, though experienced at the edge of death, is always present within us, waiting to illuminate our lives.